How is everybody doing? Yes, today we have a lot more energy for some reason. Okay, so we're gonna jump right into this, and pun intended, jump right into it because we're gonna be working on jumping. Hey, look at that. Okay, so basically what we're gonna do is get this guy to jump. That's today's objective. Now, for doing that, we have to do two things. We have to give him a little nudge so he gets up, and then we'll let gravity do the rest. We're just gonna go whoop, and then he'll come back down himself. Okay, so that's one thing. And the second thing we have to make sure is that he's on the ground. Otherwise, we can keep pressing spacebar and we're gonna keep flying. So those are the two things we have to accomplish in this. So let's get him airborne. Let's jump right into the code. All right. So for this, we're gonna need a bunch of variables, just so we can control everything later on. So let's go ahead and create a private one because we won't need this anywhere other than our little guy over here. So Boolean is a true and false thing, right? So we need a private true and false variable. We're gonna call it grounded, and we're just gonna set it to a value as well because we want it to be, you know, initialized. So we're actually gonna set it to be false because our characters right now is starting in the air. So we'll let the code decide if he's on the ground or not. We don't want it to decide that. So we're gonna say false unless something happens. So let's start at false. So what do we got? We got a private variable, which is a true and false variable called grounded, setting equal to false. Alrighty. So let's move to the next variable. What do we got? I think we're gonna have to create a public float. Float, as we know from here, is just a number with decimals. Again, if you don't want a number with decimal, you can just do int. But you know, decimals are more fun. So let's do a float jump power. So this is gonna be, pretty sure you can guess what this is. This is gonna be our how much jump energies this little dude's got. All right. So public float jump power. So let's go and use those variables in our code. So I think before we check on the ground, right, I said I was gonna just move him up, right? Okay, so let's do that. Let's go ahead and go back and code here. We'll go in, let's put a comment right here. So 2 slashes, forward slashes, and call it jump. So we know that this code is the jump code. So we can actually type in jump code, right? So now we have to make sure that he's on the ground. So let's do an if, open parentheses, close parentheses, grounded, right? So if he's grounded, he's grounded. Don't get grounded. Okay, so if he's grounded, we're gonna say, then we're gonna do an if again, and we're gonna check for input. We're gonna see if the person playing is pressing spacebar. So we're gonna do input. We're gonna do what type of input? We're gonna do a get key. Probably get key down, right? I explained it before what it was, but basically I'll explain it real quick again. Get key, if you do keys, so keys are everything on the keyboard, right? Get key would return a value if you hold a button. Get key down would be like when you actually hit down once, so it will only register once unless you lift up and press it again. And then lift up is obviously, or key up is when you move your finger up. So let's go with down because we only want it to do once, even if the player is holding the button down. So that's the type. So input, what type? We need it to be pressed down, open close parentheses again. We're gonna do key code dot space. So we could do this way. We can do key code dot space, or we can just open quotes and put in space. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be capital or not, but let's put it non-capital for now. We'll make sure. So it's just quotes and space. Open bracket, close bracket, right? Let's get that formatting going. Now is where we're actually gonna move the this little dude over here up, right? So let's do my body, which we already have. What do we want to do with the body? Let's add force. Now open close parentheses and make sure you guys close the semicolon at the end. So do it even before you finish the whole sentence. Just go ahead and put the semicolon at the end. Now we're going to do vector 3. I know we use vector 2 here, so I'm trying to show you the different ways of using it. Here we only needed to use up and down value. Sorry, not up and down, left and right, and up and down, I guess. Here's the same thing, but I'm trying to show you that you don't need to use vector 2 because vector 3 will have the z direction, but as long as we don't use it, it doesn't matter. So we'll just use the x and y values, right? The left and right and up and down. So we'll do vector 3 dot up, right? We're going to multiply that by the jump power, multiply that by actually nothing. Let's leave that as is, and then put a comma. Now we need to tell it what type of force it is, right? So let's do force mode You'll see it in the little thingy. Dot impulse. So there's a bunch of different ones. We're just gonna select impulse. Okay. Let's go ahead, and I think that's it for that. Why is it giving me an error? Oh, I know why. Because if you remember, my body is a 2D rigid body, not a 3D. So we're gonna have to put a 2D because this whole force is 2D. It's not 3D. Even though we're putting vector 3 here, it's only taking the up value, so that's only one number. It's not 3 numbers. So 2D. Make sure to put 2D in there, otherwise it's gonna glitch out. All right. I think that's honestly about it. This one line code will make our character jump. So let's go back into Unity. Let's click our player and make sure to give him a jump power. You'll see it over here, jump power. So let's try like 10. Okay. So zoom out a bit, just scroll in and out, hold Alt, and then you can also do this if you wanted to. Hold Alt and left click. Let's press play and see what happens. So we can move, yay. And what happens if we press spacebar? Absolutely nothing. You know why? It's because grounded is false. So for now, we'll make grounded equal true. Okay? Awesome. So let's try this again. Press play. And hopefully, aha, look at that gorgeous jumping little butterfly or little slug. I don't know who he is, man. He's creepy kind of. He only has one eye. Anyhow, so that's how we get the character jumping. Now, like I was saying, he's not checking if he's grounded or not. So what we can do is just press spacebar, spacebar. Oh, see? That's what we need to fix next. He floats down. All right, so let's fix that real quick. Now, this might get a little confusing, but you guys, I don't think you should worry too much about it since this is a beginner tutorial. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically shoot imaginary lines from our foot. Okay, we're going to shoot these invisible lines straight down, and we're going to see if those lines hit the ground. And if they hit the ground, then we know we're grounded. Again, pun intended. All right, so I think instead you could do it in the update because we wanted to run every frame. But a better place to do it is in, let's create a new function here. Actually, here, I'll do it at the end so it doesn't confuse you. So right at the very end, right before the last bracket, because last bracket is the whole class one you can see up here. See, it even highlights it. So this, right? So after this, we're going to do void. We're going to do fixed update. Yes, make sure it's capital F, capital W, or sorry, U. Open close parentheses and then open brackets. Okay, so this is the same thing as update, except update runs on frame rate. This does not. This will keep running no matter what the frame rate is. So this is a little bit more reliable as terms of physics. So if you're gonna do physics thing like this, honestly, I should have put that in there. But you know, it doesn't make that big of a difference usually, unless you're like doing multiplayer or something. So fixed update. Let's do fixed update. Okay. Now it's gonna get slightly confusing. Let's not worry about it too much. I'm going to try to explain it as best as I can. Okay, so let's do raycast. So as I was saying, those invisible lines, that's what they're called. They're called rays. So we're going to do raycast 2D hit. Raycast hit 2D, my bad. Right? And then, so that's the type. Like, you know how we did variables up here? Float was the type. We don't have to tell it private. We could, but this is automatically private if we don't put anything. So raycast 2D, we're going to call it hit. Okay? So let's set it equal to something. So we're going to do physics. I think 2D, physics 2D. Yeah, physics 2D, because we're in 2D. We're going to do raycast. So this is the physics 2D. We can do a lot of things from it. So what we want from it is the raycast. So we're going to raycast, open close parentheses, and make sure to put the semicolon right at the end right now. Okay? Then so basically the raycast, all we have to do is tell it from where to shoot it, and what direction you shoot it, and how far it's going. So first thing is, where is it starting? So we're going to start it at transform.position. And if you remember, transform is us. So basically our position, right? Transform.position. Then do comma. Then let's do vector 2. Again, you could do vector 3 as well. But vector 2 dot down. Okay? So where is it starting? Basically where we are. And then where is it going? Vector 2 dot down. That's just going to go straight down. And let's just make it the length of 1. So it doesn't go too far. Otherwise, we could be pretty high up and it would still say, oh, you're on the ground. So 1 is a pretty short distance, right? Okay, so now we have this variable, okay? And all it's going to do is it contains, this variable contains a lot of values. So this variable is going to contain a lot of values. And we're just going to use one of those values. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do if hit, the variable that we just created, dot collider, that's one of the things it has, equal, which means if it equals, you have to put 2 to check. 2 equal signs, okay? So hit dot collider dot equal null, okay? So that means nothing. So if it's hitting nothing, this variable, which is the line, its collider is hitting nothing. Okay, so let's open those brackets up. So if it's hitting nothing, then we can say grounded equal false. Make sense? Then let's do else. So if it is hitting something, we're gonna do grounded equal true. And then semicolon, make sure the semicolons, people. Okay, so let's see, what are we missing here? I think this should be it. So let me recap this real quick. We have this variable that's this ray, invisible rays, right? It's shooting straight down. It stores a lot of information. So that's why it's not like a direction or a bool or a float. It's a raycast 2D. That's the variable type. We named it hit. And what it is, we have to set it equal to the actual ray. And how do we actually throw that little invisible line down is using this sentence right here. Physics2D dot raycast. So cast that ray, and then in the parameters underneath the parentheses, we're putting it starts at our position, goes straight down for one little unit. Okay, so and then we can use its values to check if we're hitting something or not. So we're going to be saying, oh, are we hitting something? Oh no, we're not hitting. Okay, then we're not grounded. Oh, we are hitting something. Okay, we're grounded. Cool. So now if we can set this equal to false, because we know we don't have to be true in the starting, it'll automatically fix it. So let's go check this. Hopefully, if I did everything right, it should work. So let's toss him in the air. Oh, toss him in the air. Press play and let him land. So I can press spacebar now. I cannot. Oh, you know why? Okay, so there's certain there's certain things you have to make sure. One thing happens is that line is shooting from inside, so it's gonna shoot from the middle right now. And what happens is it just hits itself. It starts shooting. It's like, oh well, I'm hitting something. So what we have to do is we have to make it ignore us. So let's call a layer. Let's create a layer. We're gonna call it. So under user layer 8, we're gonna put capital P LAYER player. So now we have a layer for player. So click back to player, layer, instead of default, we're gonna do player. Okay. So now, if I can recall correctly, what we're gonna do is go to edit. I think project settings, physics 2D, and then we're gonna actually we did not need to set the layer, but it's fine. We can set the layer. So in if you go edit, project settings, physics 2D, not physics, physics 2D, then it says queries hit triggers, and then it says queries. Oh, come on, dude, show me the whole thing. Queries start in collision. I think it's this one. I'm not 100% sure, so let's just make sure. Whether raycast line cast that starts as a actually, see, there we go. It explains it right there. So we're gonna uncheck this box. Now, hopefully, again, if I did everything right, let's see if it works. So we're going, falling. We hit the ground. Spacebar still doesn't want to work. Mr. Spacebar. Okay, I'm gonna go test it out and I'll be right back. Okay, guys, it was honestly the most silliest mistake I've ever made. Basically, in the code, it's not supposed to be fixed updated. I put an extra D in there. So that is not a Unity function. It does not know what to do with it. It wasn't running any of this. So we're just going to take out that D. It's fixed update. Okay? Save that. And we go in here, press play, and I can't press spacebar, and now I can. See? So now whenever I'm on the ground, I can jump. I can spam this button. You can hear it. And he's not going to go unless I'm on the ground. Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. So that is the jumping tutorial. I hope it wasn't too long. The line of code there are not too many. So if you have any questions, just, ask me. Again, all we did was this line. This is, we know what's going on here. This is the only confusing line, and it's not even that confusing. So, and then also this one. Well, it's the same one as here. Look at that. Okay, so again, if any questions, please ask. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And next time we're going to cover enemies. So enemies and death, I think we can do both of those. And then we'll get into shooting them and killing them. Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. See you next time.